Mr. Government Man, tell me something. How long you really feel you coulda keep we under heel when the truth done reveal about how you grab and steal, about how you make your crooked deal, make your crooked deal, eh? Well, down in Southall, where peach to get fall, the Asians them farm up a human wall against the fascists and them police shield. And them sure that the Asians got plenty zeal, got plenty.
Okay, you said writing was a political art and poetry is a cultural weapon.
In the beginning, yes.
In the beginning, yes. And most of your celebrated work, you did it during the Margaret Thatcher era. And Margaret Thatcher, as an administrator, during her time as a prime minister, he was known to be and had someone. They even call him the Iron Lady. How did you survive it?
Well, we resisted Thatcherism. We began in the early days as a black movement, but then by the time Thatcher was in power, we began to form alliances with white working class people involved in the struggle for justice, for workers' rights and for freedom, and people involved in the trade union movement. So we moved from a purely racial politics to a more class-orientated politics. And so we organized to resist Thatcher, because what Thatcher came with a radical agenda, and her agenda was to claw back all the things, all the rights, all the power that the white working class in England had won for themselves after the Second World War. The settlement, what was called the post-World War II settlement, where you had the welfare state, the National Health Service, free education, and all these kind of things. And slowly but surely, Thatcher was trying to claw these things back. The privatization of the railways, the privatization of the post office, the privatization of the utilities, electricity and gas and so on. And the most fundamental thing she did at that time was to claw back the power of organized labor. So she introduced a lot of legislation to restrict what the trade unions could do, because the trade unions up to that point had been very powerful in representing the rights of the workers. And the way she did that was to goad the National Mine Workers Union to call in a strike, and to break that strike and to break the union. And once she'd broken the National Mine Workers Union, the organized labor movement in England was weakened significantly. But yeah, we you know, the black radical movement joined in alliance with other working class organizations to resist Thatcherism, and some of my recordings, you know, talked about Thatcher and make reference to that. Yeah, that was a very significant period in the history of the black working class struggle in Britain, and indeed the struggle of all working people in England, because that was the period during which the organized power of working people, all working people, were significantly reduced.
Okay. Now today, we come today. You've been awarded when during Black History Month you are called to go and give lectures to school. Now the political establishment in England, you are very much respected, even right around the world. I just mentioned it earlier. You've been awarded in South Africa. How is it like for you now? Did you feel now? Yes, I've gone through a period and I've succeeded in my mission.
Well, what I've learned from this all, you know, I'm an old guy now, and what I've learned is that the only way you can get respect from the establishment, from the powers that be, is to resist and to stand up and fight. You know, if you go cap in hand and try to say, oh, please, sir, can you let me have a little bit more freedom here, a little bit more leeway there, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you stand up and fight, they will respect you eventually for that. You're hoping that you've left behind a legacy for the next generation to continue with. That is why in England we have an organization called the George Padmore Institute. I don't know if you've ever heard of George Padmore. But George Padmore was a famous Pan-Africanist.
Yes, I know.
Well, we name our institute after him. And our institute it's an archive and a library that houses materials relating to the struggles, the political and cultural struggles waged by black people in Britain over the last 50 years. Whether it was the Black Parents movement, the movement to establish the carnival, the Black Supplementary Educational movement, the New Cross Massacre struggles, the Caribbean Artist movement. We have all those materials in our archive, and it's available to students, to members of the public. And we organize public events, lectures, talks, and seminars, and so on. And the reason for that is that our co-founder, John LaRose, felt that a strategy that the colonial authorities used back in the days was to keep information from people. And we wanted to bridge the gap of historical discontinuity between the different generations. We don't believe that every generation should think that, oh, we have to start again from scratch. Nothing was done before. We want them to understand that there is some continuity, that something happened before, that we did some things, this is what we did, this is how we did it, these are the mistakes we made, these are the successes, and so on and so forth. So that's why we formed the George Padmore Institute, and it's the culmination of a generation of struggle, and we hope that young people, the younger generation, can benefit from it and learn something from it.
Yes, I think the likes of George Padmore, they are inspired the last of Nkrumah. When Nkrumah left America, came to England during the West Africa Student Union was, so this George Padmore inspired the Nkrumahs for that organization. We come back, Gambia, Mr. Johnson. How did you come to the Gambia?
Oh, I came to the Gambia because the festival, Mboka Festival invited me, thanks to Khadija, and I couldn't say no. An opportunity to go to Gambia, of course. I jumped at the chance because I always welcome any opportunity I get to share our experiences, the experiences of the African diaspora in Europe and wider, the Caribbean experience, the African Caribbean experience in Britain, to share it with our brothers and sisters here in Africa, I think that's important. Solidarity is important, and it's an act of solidarity.
Were you hearing about Africa, about Gambia? Were you hearing about Gambia?
What I heard about Gambia?
Were you hearing about Gambia?
Yes, we know a little bit about, from the time of Roots, we know about Gambia, from Kunta Kinte and all this kind of stuff, and we heard that Alex Haley came here trying to find his roots and all that amongst the Mandinga or wherever. And I understand from my various little readings over the years that Gambia and Senegal were part of one territory, but the British took a part of it and the French took a part of it, and hence you have Gambia, Senegal, and all of that. And I have a couple of friends living here as well, and so when the opportunity came for me to come to Gambia, I grabbed it with both hands. And yes, I would be happy to come back here again if I had the opportunity to come. I would love it. Yeah, the vibes is nice.
How's the experience?
So far, well, I've only been here 24 hours, but yeah, I'm liking
Loving it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You wrote a lot about British foreign policy. You know a lot about their foreign policy. You write a lot about.
I don't know if I know so much about it, but yeah.
No, okay. Gambia, we had a political impasse here in this country when elections were held here and a president was won and he refuses to step down. Many African countries, the likes of Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Liberia, English-speaking countries, they helping during the impasse. But the Western power like France also issued a statement. They even make some pronouncements. But we did not hear the British government making any statement. You don't hear the ambassador issuing a statement. And though Boris Johnson came here, Gambia is the first African country that he traveled when they came to power. But then it was not, we as Gambians, or I for one, let me speak for myself. I believe the British would have issued a statement before France doing so.
Well, the British have their own way of doing diplomacy, and you know, they were the most powerful imperialist nation in Europe, and they have a history of involvement on the African subcontinent, and they do things they have their ways of doing things. So I can't really comment on that, and I don't think it's politic of me to go to somebody else's country and talk about their business, because it's none of my business really, even though I might have an opinion. I think it's what happens in Gambia is a matter for the Gambian people.
Good. You are here tonight at the Abidjan Theatre. What are you telling Gambians who are coming there?
Well, I'm going to be reciting from my selected poems to give people an understanding, or I'm going to try to give people a sense of what were the important moments in our history in England, how we made that history, and about our successes and failures.
Njok ma jël tuuti yow di nga yow yéen a ñëw moom fii LKJ ku mag la ngeen war a am programme bi foofu ci Abidjan Theatre looy wax nit ñi kii mooy kan ak lan la ngeen pare ci guddi bi.
waaw maa ngi laa nuyu Papa Sam nga ngi def liggéey bu rafet ak sa team bi yëpp di nuyu sa listeners yi as well comme li nga wax rek ci anglais ak LKJ xam naa listeners yi yëpp enjoy nañ di so he's an icon really, everybody knows about him. A real inspiration to bring him here. So ñun like Mboka Festival, I'm here, we are in the heart of the Mboka Festival with is partnering with someone like Khadija, someone like Mamadou Salah, and Adamaba. So it's like different strands. But Lee is the curtain raiser. This is like the flagship event, and that's for Part3, Abidjan Theatre. So we asking people to come and see LKJ. I mean, really in action, doing some nice poetry stuff.
And on Wednesday.
And on Wednesday too, Mungenegasi University of Gambia, in the evening. That's Gambia College. Yeah, but tonight, yeah, is the first this thing, and it's really good performance tonight. Not only from him, we also another poet from South Africa, who is also going to do. She's also going to do some reading. And then we also have live music from Tunde Jagedi and a band, some local musicians, you know. I
knew Tunde Jagedi when he was a baby.
Yeah, so Tunde would do some stuff with some Gambian artists who would do balafong and kora, that kind of thing. So yeah, we have a very good sort of lineup today, this evening. Three good acts, and obviously, you know, LKJ is the headliner.
But on Wednesday, the lecture is going to be on African consciousness in reggae music.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, Mom, it's like a workshop. It's a lecture workshop, yeah. And then he's going to team up again with another Gambian youth, Aliuba, you know, and they'll do some good stuff, you know.
Aliuba, Occupy Westfield.
Occupy Westfield, yeah. I don't know him in person, but I know his song through social media. Yeah.
I had him here during my night shows, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so ngawa guy ticket ñata la tay.
Wow, $300 is and there's you know, like I say, it's a good program, and there's also some light sort of refreshment, all inclusive. So we hope, you know, people will come to Abidjan Theatre to, you know, and it's not nekudly them be goody. It's gonna start very early, so people have to be there really for 8 o'clock. and by 10ish we're going to finish 10 o'clock. Yeah, so it's other things to do for later tonight. You still have enough time, because it's not going till late, so it's not going to really affect your other plans for the night. If you want to go to, let's say, the other big events happening in town later tonight, we all know that would start a bit later. And also, if you want to go clubbing or something, all those things are kind of slightly a bit late. So this event really is an early sort of evening thing. So we want people to come, and see this for the first time. LKJ in Gambia is a real big thing, and it's a theater thing. It's also a different sort of art form. We want to, really raise the profile of that, and I think it's good. People, come and see this at the theater, Abujan Theater. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. LKJ. Before I take leave of you, what does it mean for your work to be published by the Penguin Modern Classic series?
I never looked to the British literary establishment for approval. I did my own thing, and I think, again, practicing what I preach, autonomy, cultural autonomy, and I don't know, by not looking for affirmation from the literary establishment, I was invited to have my poems published in the Penguin Modern Classic series. But if I have to be realistic about it, really, I think it was because the editor at Penguin was an African woman called Ella Alfrey from Zimbabwe. If it wasn't for Ella Alfrey, I don't think I would have been published in the Penguin Modern Classic series. So all power to Ella Alfrey and black women like her in publishing.
Okay. And you did some work with BBC Radio 4?
Oh yeah, Radio 1. I had a series on BBC Radio 1 in 1982 called From Mentor to Lovers Rock, a 10-part program about the history of reggae music, from its 19th century roots, how it evolved through Jamaican folk, through ska, rocksteady, into reggae and all of that. And I've worked in broadcasting, in television, on Channel 4. Over the years, I've done bits and pieces of broadcasting. A bit of jack of all trades and master of none.
No, you are master of all. Looking to the dub poetry, you can only look at the likes of LKJ and Muta Baruka. It's not an art that is that the youth distinct too much. What do you think? What needs to be done for it to have more youth doers?
Well, I don't know. I'm not really all that concerned whether there is another Muta Baruka or another Linton Kwesi Johnston or whatever. I just want young people to take some inspiration from what we've done and do their own thing, whatever that might be. But to get some inspiration or some ideas or whatever from what we've done. They don't have to be a continuation. That's just vanity, really.
Okay.
Let them do their own thing. Be inspired and do your own thing. But if you're a poet, this is one advice I have to poets, people with poetic ambitions to become poets. You cannot be a poet if you don't read poetry. You must read poetry in the same way that you can't be a musician if you don't listen to music.
And Limpton, the culture of reading nowadays is just like people are not listening into reading now.
Reading is important, it's absolutely important. I'm more or less, even though I have a university degree, my education is based on my reading. My all the books that I've read over the years, I've learned so much. So many different worlds have opened up to me. But if you're going to be a poet, you need to read widely as possible and experiment. Experiment with structure, with language, with form.
Okay. Nice to have you in this program, Lemton Kwesi Johnson. I'm very happy. I feel honored to have you around, because when I was very young, I was listening to people like you and the Bob Marleys, the Peter Tosh, many inspirations. Gambia Drive from Jamaica. So
maximum respect, Papa.
Let me before you let me have your final remarks before you go.
That was it. Maximum respect to the man. And thank you so much. And keep on keeping on, my brother.
Okay. Let them meet you tonight at the Abujan Theatre, and Wednesday you have a lecture at the University, Gambia. That's LKJ, the veteran, the living legend. Tonight he's at the Abujan Theatre, and on Wednesday he is at the University for a lecture. Njok,
Wow, Jering and Jeff, we really appreciate this, and I'm sure the listeners too really appreciate and enjoy the program. You're a really great host, and your whole team, we thank them all. And hopefully we'll see everyone at the Abujan Theatre early evening, like I say, not Gambian time, Gambian Lanak, not Gambian time, you know. So 8 o'clock, Okay, 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah, and then we're gonna finish early, so everyone else can go to whatever they want to do from there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Njok Malik, and thank you to Mr. Lemtin Kwesi Johnson. He was my guest this afternoon. And thank you to Bilal Samkoli. Thank you to Busy Youngs, who was holding me, doing me the technical backup. And thanks to all the people who are listening to Capital Radio 100.4, the sound of a new generation. And this is Papa Jamz saying bye till next week, inshallah.
Now tell me something, Mr. Government Man, tell me something.